Harvard University, September 23rd, Saturday, interview with Africa's most famous writer of this generation, CHIMAMANDA Adichie. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
It's nice to see you in Harvard.
Thank you. It's nice to see you too.
You have known about and have also been endorsed very firmly by the distinguished Professor Mandela Achebe. We're marking 50 years of his work, Things Fall Apart. What are your thoughts? What are your impressions?
On Things Fall Apart?
Yes.
I would need a day to tell you.
Okay.
No, I think for me the most important and significant thing about Things Fall Apart is that it's the book that gave me permission to write. Before I read Things Fall Apart, I was writing rubbish. I was writing about English people because I was reading about English people. And then I read Things Fall Apart and it completely changed my world. It gave me permission. It made me see that my world was boiling for literature. So if Achebe hadn't given me that permission by writing that book, I probably wouldn't be standing here.
That is a profound statement. And in fact, he appreciates the kind of work you have done. The other issue that I would like you to touch upon is you create a familiarity with the University of Nigeria landscape in your writing. Achebe is also famous for creating a familiarity with our shared Igbo heritage. Is localization for context a better way to write?
Well, I don't believe in being prescriptive as a writer, so the idea of better or worse ways to write, I just would rather, people should write what they want, but I can speak for myself. And for me, I think that specificity, the more specific a writer is, the more likely the writer is to be successful. I think it's, and this idea of being universal, it is from specificity that universalism arises.
What are the lessons for you of Achebe's excellence, permanence, relevance in terms of his craft as a writer?
Lessons? I mean, I don't know about lessons.
Are there things you learned from him beyond permission as you speak?
In terms of craft, I mean, I admire his. I admire the sort of the simplicity of his style. The sentences aren't self-conscious. That he writes, he doesn't try, in many ways, that the story tells itself. I mean, there are writers for whom sentence structure is itself a story. For Achebe, it's not the case. And I respect that.
The issue of gender in Achebe's work is markedly different from yours. There is a greater emphasis in the role of women in your work.
Yeah, but my work is a lot more feminized than his. Achebe writes about men's worlds mostly. But actually, I think less so in Angels of the Savannah, and in some ways I suspect that with the character, some of the characters, he was trying to respond to people who might have accused him of not being feminist enough. So there's a character who sort of gives us a little lecture about feminism, which is interesting. But actually, my reading of Achebe isn't, the people who read Achebe as being, as not being very female-centric, and my reading is a bit different. I mean, I really like the ways in which he keeps true to the place and time.
Yes.
But also makes women human, you know. So the character of Izima, for example, in Things Fall Apart, I really love that strong character.
The other issue that I would like to ask you about is the fact of the emerging young African writers who are excelling in so many ways. You have become the symbol of that distinction. What do you think?
What do I think? I think it's a good thing that we're telling our stories finally. I think it was bound to happen. That at some point, I mean, you can't keep telling other people's stories for them. At some point, it has to stop. And I think that publishers in the West are more willing to take risks. That they actually have discovered that people will read African writers, and so there's going to be a lot more of it. And for me, I'm even more interested in African publishing that's happening in Africa. And that's also, I mean, in Nigeria, for example, the Nigerian publishers doing fantastic work, which excites me even more in some cases.
Finally, the issue of showcasing Africa through literary work not just political propaganda. You have become more of an ambassador in terms of your professional accomplishment. You speak to the possibilities of Nigerians and Africans generally. Should African governments encourage the arts much more than they are doing so that they can have more Adichies?
Yes, I mean, yeah, well, I don't know if we want more Adichies, but...
the world is not big enough for two.
No, I'm saying that the disaster of having too many Adichies might not be good for the world.
We want disasters, man.
No, but I think that, this question of supporting the arts, for me, it's even more important that we change how we educate people. If we start from primary school to teach kids that reading literature is important, that reading is important. Not only, I don't mean reading for school, because, the thinking in Nigeria is that when you're reading, you have an exam.
That's right.
And so for me, I'm less interested in the government supporting the arts, which would mean having some sort of unnecessary large thing. I want for us to go back and think about the ways we educate and to have it be absolutely mandatory that people study literature and read. You know what I mean? To sort of encourage the idea of reading as something that is integral to good education. And I think that is really the way that it will help.
What do you do other than write? What are your days like?
I read.
You read all the time? Do you have any hobbies?
I get that question very often as though somehow reading and writing are not sufficient.
But I mean, you read and write so much that we expect all the activities of you.
I am a happily boring life.
You don't like the movies?
I'm not very keen on film. I don't like to go to the movies.
Any sports?
I exercise. I run.
You like soccer?
So. I watch it when Nigeria is playing.
David Beckham and Pele, you do like that?
Pele, by far.
Okay. Any favorite musicians, Nigerian?
I like Celestine Ukwu. I love Celestine Ukwu.
You're kidding?
Yes, I think he's an amazing philosopher.
You're a daughter of the ancients. You like Pele, you like Celestine. Tell me another thing.
My sister calls me Akadimani, so I'm sure that says something that's supposed to be old in my head.
The level of creative energy you bring justifies that. Professor Adichie must be very proud.
I hope he is. He's a fantastic man.
So. How is your mother?
She's very well.
I attended college at the UNN when we were still very young.
Yep. Well, although I had started to read all the Achebe books. My parents are well. They're Masuka still. And they are very, very important to my life.
What is your guiding philosophy?
I don't know that I have one. I sort of have general humanist ideas about what it means to be, to live on Earth. My worldview is very dark. So I'm sort of, I'm always thinking, I guess if anything, it's that life is so short, but we don't know how long we're here. And that, and I think about that day to day, and in some ways it informs the choices I make.
Is it more frenetic or dark?
It's dark.
As?
It's dark.
How do you mean?
It's that rather than see yellow, I see grey.
You see black.
It's that I find myself taken by, it's one of those sort of glass half full or glass half empty. I'm always unhappy about the ways in which humans fail.
Thank you so very much for this time to interview with you.
Thank you.
The superstar writer, Africa's finest.
I'm not superstar.
CHIMAMANDA Adichie. We're really proud of you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll see you.